What's up, everyone? Coach Tony here. In this session, we have a very special session for you guys here today. We actually asked one of our incredible coaches about her journey because she has a really cool life moment that kind of happened. So we'd love to like, hey, this is actually pretty cool to kind of share with our students who are curious about the same journey. Because I think what this path I'm kind of spoiled a little bit, nursing, right? People think there's only one right path. And I think that's the probably one of the fields that people think that's only one way and nothing else. In fact, I think nursing is one of the fields with the most amount of options to get to wherever you want to go and however you want to be as well too. So we brought in one of our own coaches to kind of share her journey, so you guys can kind of see, in case you guys were interested in the nursing field, you guys can kind of see this is one perspective, one journey of how one person got there. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and let our coach introduce herself, and we'll go ahead and kick it off there.
Hello, everyone. My name is Coach Vivian. I am your onboarding specialist, but you can always reach out to me if you have any nursing questions. But I did graduate from UCI with a degree in public health science and education science, and I'm currently in Western University in Pomona for their master's program in nursing, which is a direct entry program. So that's a little bit about me.
Very cool. So we could kind of spoil the ending, right? So now I think for us, Coach Vivian, let's kind of bring it back to the very beginning, kind of show how we actually got there. Because again, you're there. And I talked at the beginning. So we have a lot of high school families who are watching this live and then watching the replays as well too. So let's kind of start there first. So if you can think back to high school you for a little bit, let's talk about that. So let's start with some academics. It's kind of the big one, right? So if you can kind of talk us through 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, what kind of student were you? If you remember the classes, if you any grades, or maybe even also talk us about your academic background there.
Okay. In terms of academics, I maintained all A's throughout high school. In terms of rigorous courses, I've only taken two AP courses, which is AP Calc AB and AP US History. The reason why I didn't take as many APs and honor program throughout my high school experience is because I was a part of this unique program that was offered in my high school called Health Academy. So what Health Academy was is where you would apply to it during your freshman year and they would only accept 30 students, and you would follow this Health Academy program for the next 3 years, so your sophomore, junior, and your senior year. So within Health Academy, they had unique teachers a part of this program. So for our cohort, we had all the same teachers for English, science, and history. So that's why I couldn't really deviate away from like what the courses we had to we had to take, like AP and honor. So we were in a Health Academy course for my 3 years. And then in this Health Academy course, I was able to take classes like medical terminology, medical careers, medical office practice. I even got my emergency medical responder certification, and I even had a pharmacy technician certification. So I took that 1 year program to become a pharm tech. And then we also in this program were offered physiology and anatomy. And throughout my academics, I would say I had several students of the year and student of the month in these particular Health Academy courses. And I was even nominated for my highest award in my high school, which is called Leah Award. So my junior year, I got silver medalist, and then my senior year, I got golden medalist. So that's a little bit about me and my academics.
Awesome. You mentioned that you joined the health academy in 9th grade. Did you know you want to like pursue a health like field that early or?
Yes, I did. I always had a passion for helping other people, especially children or under the age of 18. I always had a passion to help people, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I think I've at a young age, I always wanted to be an anesthesiologist because I would watch, like, videos and documentaries online, but, like, I didn't know what it truly was. So I always just had this passion for healthcare, just didn't know exactly what.
So to kind of like so even like through high school, like the early years, you didn't know that nursing was like the thing you wanted to do yet. You used to do like I want to be in health, or just not sure
Yeah,
exactly
I
what,
think
or
in my head, I wanted to be an anesthesiologist.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, like I would take pharmacy technician because that's where you're going to learn about the meds. Because the courses that were offered during my health academy program was EMT, certified nursing assistant, and pharmacy technician. Pharmacy technician was a 1 year program, while the other two, EMT and CNA, was only 1 semester. So I was like, oh, like I think I'm going to learn more within that 1 year and learn about medication because I want to become an anesthesiologist. So I'll just do the pharmacy technician, but then this was during COVID, and After like doing my internship to get my hours, I was like, I don't know if I like pharmacy that much because it was such a boring aspect to me because I was just counting pills and just putting it into the vials. And I was like, I want more of a social interaction, but I didn't know exactly what it was.
I really like that. Can you touch upon a little bit of that of like, because I think a lot of students think like they have to know what they want to do, and then like because we right, you started off ninth grade, I want to be an anesthesiologist. I'm doing the things now, and then that one point you're like, wait, I kind of don't like this as much anymore now that you're doing it. Can you touch upon that emotion? Because I'm sure there's some students who are kind of feeling that also, or they haven't, some students haven't gone there yet. And some students are kind of there of like, hey, I thought I want to be an engineer or a business student. And the more I'm doing it, the more I'm like, maybe not. Can you give some feedback to those type of students?
Oh, honestly, for those type of students, I definitely recommend like shadowing the person that you want to be. That like for instance, like when I was like in high school, I was shadowing an orthodontist. I even did shadowing a behavior therapist and an occupational therapist because I wanted to do healthcare, but I didn't know exactly. So my best advice for those students who are like, "Oh, I want to do this, but I'm not sure." Definitely ask someone that you can shadow them for a full day so you have an experience of what their day-to-day activities are, what they do, how they go about their job and everything like that. And that way you can get a better idea of like, is this what you really want to do? And I think for me, um, this is later on into college where I was like volunteering at the Children's Hospital and at UCI Health for patient education, where I was able to talk to nurses and get a deeper understanding of like who what nurses do, and nursing is so flexible that you can go any way you want. Like, you can do bedside, you can do aesthetics, you can do CRNA, you can be a nurse practitioner where you can diagnose patients. There's so many things that you can do into nursing. That's why I was so intrigued by it, but I definitely think for people who have this I you have many passions and many choices that you wanna do, definitely shadow and get that experience in.
That's awesome. Awesome. So we can kind of dabble a little bit into the next category. So I think shadowing fits under like your activities, right? That's one of the activities that you did in high school. Can you talk a little bit about what other activities that you're involved in, if you did any clubs or sports or any of that stuff outside of the health academy and the school side?
Yes. So outside of Health Academy, I was in many extracurriculars. I was in Link Crew, which this is a program where we help the high school students transition into, I mean, help the freshman students transition into high school. So I was able to help hands-on with my group of high schoolers throughout their group of freshmen throughout their high school experience. I was also a peer tutor, so I can help students with their academics like math, science. I was a part of Aware Club, which is like an environmental club where we learn about situations and how to help the environment and better improve the environment. National Junior Honor Society, Black Student Association. I think I am not a part like, I'm not Black or anything, but I was very interested in learning about other people's culture and letting that dive deep into who I am as a person, that I wanted to see that I wanted to help everyone and not just, like, specifically certain people. And then I was also a part of Vietnamese Student Association, so I was connecting with my roots. I was in Girls League, which is a volunteer, um sisterhood type of thing where we volunteer through many different things. We would plant stuff, do beach cleanups, do food banks and everything. And I think those experience let me learn who I am as a person and not be so, how do I say it? Like well-rounded. Like was able to touch on so many extracurriculars, which really helped me. And then I really have a passion for helping children. So I was also a faith formation teacher. So I think all these things just define who I was and really helped me understand that I do want to do something with kids and help them move into a better direction, whether that be in healthcare or like in college right now. So I just like helping people, and I think those activities help me learn that about myself.
That's awesome. You mentioned because one of the things a lot of students and I think parents think that everything you do in high school activity wise has to relate to your major, right? And then I think you rattle a few things that like link or technically isn't directly related to your major. Environmental club, probably not. Black Student Union, probably not as well too, right? So as you were kind of navigating, you kind of share a little bit of why you did each one. Did you feel like you did it because you did you have intention like I want to do this to look good for college and make sure it helps me, or was it more like, hey, I have a curiosity in his. I think I like that. If you can touch upon that of like how you kind of chose your activities, I think so this could be kind of universal to a lot of students also.
Yeah, honestly, for all my extracurricular, I didn't do it because I wanted to look good on my resume. I truly had a passion for what these clubs and associations have to offer. I think that gives you more benefit than doing something that looks good on your resume because deep down inside it's who you are as a person. You want to develop who you are and see if these certain environments or these certain situations make you and develop you into a better person as well. So I think all of these things is just like my passion to help others and to serve others, not to look good on a resume.
Yeah, and you use that word a lot, your passion for helping, and I think we see it. I think in everything you do, we see it a lot. What about students who don't know what they're passionate about? Because we have a good chunk of students that we work with that like, I don't know, right? Or their passion is what their parents tell them their passion is. Like you like this and this that. How did you discover that you enjoyed helping other kids out? And what advice would you give to students who like they say, I don't know what I'm really passionate about? What advice would you kind of give those students?
Honestly, I think during my middle school age, I took a personality test and it gave me so much feedback on who I am as a person. And we're already doing that now in Eagle Log. So I think that's a good thing. I think students can definitely look on what their personality is like and use that information to curate extracurriculars in that way. And honestly, I think one best advice is if you're interested in something, even if like your friends or other people in your school is doing it, just try it out for one day. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. And the worst thing that can happen is that you don't like it, but at least you tried and you can say that you tried. So I think for all the students who like, oh, I'm not sure what I should do, like my parents are telling me this, but I don't really want to do this. Just try it for one day, and maybe if you like it, then continue. But if you don't, maybe you can redirect yourself into something that you're more passionate about.
Love it. Awesome. So this kind of takes us, you're super active, super smart, super active. That takes us to senior year, right? We have a lot of juniors who are watching this live and watching the replay as well too. They're about to, at the time of this recording, we're like mid-February right now. So college apps are right around the corner for a lot of our students. So if you can kind of bring us back to senior, Coach Vivian, right, as well too. If you can talk us through kind of the journey from your like how was the journey like for you? What schools were you considering? Kind of why you considered those schools, and kind of just talk us through that journey until like finding out where you were gonna go.
Okay. So for my senior year, it was a little bit hard. This is when the pandemics just happened, so I got cut short. So during March, when we're about to find out all our college application, I we were shut down, pandemic, no outside. So for the colleges, I applied to Cal State Long Beach, Cal State Fullerton, Cal State San Bernardino, Cal State Bakersfield, UC Davis, UC Irvine, and UC Riverside, and UC Santa Cruz. I got accepted to all the schools, all different majors. All the Cal States I got into nursing, but I did not pick the Cal State nursing route because my dad, first generation, was like, "You should go to UCI. Maybe you'll find a passion into becoming a doctor." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like I always had this idea even before going to college that I wanted to be an anesthesiologist and become a doctor. So I was like, "Wait, he has a point. Like maybe I should just go to UCI and see what I like." Even though I didn't get into it for nursing, I got into it for public health. But I think ultimately, I decided UCI because it was always like that dream school, that prestigious school. It has research, it has like its own medical hospital, all these great things, and maybe I can find myself there. So I did ultimately decided UCI.
Gotcha. You mentioned you applied to multiple majors at law school. So for factually, that is correct. You can apply to multiple majors, multiple schools. I'm curious myself. Why'd you do that? Is number one, and then was there some logic to doing that as well?
Honestly, I for the three majors that I applied for, it was no, pharmaceutical science, nursing, and bio or public
Mm,
health. So they're pretty similar. I think I was just like, okay, I did farm tech, so it would look good applying to pharmaceutical.
mhm.
but, like, there wasn't, like, a really defined, like, reason. I just think I just looked at what major options there were, and if they didn't have a specific one, I just picked the best one. So, whatever that was, but there wasn't really like, "Okay, I'm going to just do biology because I wanna become a doctor." I was just very confused at the time. I didn't really have guidance. I was, like, a first generation.
Mhm.
I had a dream, but I didn't know what to do with that dream.
Got it. Cool. So then now that you kind of gone through it, your journey's still going, right? You haven't finished yet, but kind of thinking back, you probably have a few years on our seniors. What advice would you have for them? Because now they're starting, a lot of our seniors, our upcoming seniors are starting to put together college lists as well too. What factors did you look at, or what factors do you recommend they look at as they start putting together that final like college list that they're applying to?
I would definitely recommend if you want to stay at home or if you want to be far from your family. That was like a big aspect for me. Like most of the schools outside of UCI, Cal State Fullerton, and Long Beach, that was outside of like what I was used to. Grew up really close to my family and I wanted to stay close. I also think another thing is like the social impact. Like, do you want to have a college experience? Do you want certain things like that? I would definitely look into that. And I would definitely, if you have anyone or know anyone that goes to the specific college that you got accepted to, definitely talk to them and see how it's like being there. How are the courses? How are the teachers? How are the support? What is the class ratio? Is it 300 students to one? Like, what type of environment do you like? For me personally, UCI was a 300 to 1 ratio, which I did not really like because I just went to lecture and I was too intimidated to talk to the teachers at the end. So I just went along with my day and I was like, I'll just figure it out if I can. If I don't, whatever. So now that I'm at Western, it's 100 to 3. So that way I can talk to the teachers, get support, and get my best advice. So I definitely think looking at commute, social aspect, student ratio, and how everything is like on that campus.
Awesome, fantastic. This kind of transition a little bit to college. 'Cause I think that that's one of the areas that I think we focus a lot, especially a lot of our interviews, we focus a lot on the high school side a lot.
Yeah.
That like a lot of students like, what happens after? So I think since you're here as well, and then you kind of navigate this really cool journey, if you can kind of share a little bit about, I think a lot, UC has been one of our dream schools for a lot of our students that talk to us as well too. Can you kind of tell us a little bit what kind of why, what makes UCI a little different than a lot of the other schools? Is there? And then what did you like enjoy most about your time at UCI?
For my college experience, I would say it was more difficult because I was in COVID pandemic, so I missed out on like 2.5 years. I had classes remote, and I think it deprived me from like social interactions, really getting a full understanding and learning because my classes were either recorded, so you can't talk to the teachers, or you're in a seminar, which is like a Q&A, and you can't really speak out loud. So that was really difficult. But I think what made it worth it was when I was able to join clubs. So I joined VSA and a program called Camp Med. Camp Med, I hold like it is my pride possession and my like everything that made college experience worth it. So what Camp Med was um is a club where we help 9 Title I schools around Orange County and we plan a 3-day camp where they get to meet with medical people like dentists, doctors, and just get the low income students to learn about higher education and about the medical field. So I think that really helped me like solidify like okay, like I love helping students and I love helping them towards healthcare because I didn't have that guidance. So during my college experience when I was able to help that, I was like, okay, I really have a passion to help kids and to move further and push them towards their goals and their dreams that they're not sure about. So that was like my college experience and definitely making friends during college is like the most beneficial.
Awesome. So something you can kind of touch upon because I think college might be a little like still far for some students to understand. Can you could compare and contrast a little bit of high school and college and how similar or different it is as well? Because I think you mentioned like to classes in high school, take classes. You mentioned clubs in high school. There's clubs. So if you can kind of compare and contrast like high school versus college, like what's can they kind of expect like, oh yeah, that's gonna be the same thing once I get there? And what kind of maybe the opposite now? What things shocked you? Like, wow, college is like this. I didn't expect that or didn't think about that as well too.
I think one best thing about college that high school doesn't have is picking your own schedule. I love going to school only twice a week, which was nice, so that I can focus on other things like my clubs and extracurriculars. But for the most part, I would say all the clubs are pretty similar. You come in like once a week, do your activities, whatever the club has to offer, and now the clubs at these university levels are way bigger. They're like 100 to like 500 students, and you're meeting so many people. And even certain clubs, like for instance, I was part of the Vietnamese Student Association. So this is partnered all throughout all the UCs. So we were able to go to events and meet other students from other colleges like UCR, Cal States, and everything like that. And it was just great meeting all these people. Compared to high school, you're kind of in your close knit and you have classes from like 9 to 2, and then you have your all your extracurriculars and all your sports afterwards. So it's rough like being in high school, like having your schedule from 9 to maybe like 9 p.m. at night doing all these extracurriculars. But in high school, you're able to pick your own schedule, work if you would like, and then do many other things and even explore life. So I think that's one aspect that I like more about college.
Awesome, fantastic. And then so let's just kind of transition us to like the where we're at right now, right? So you mentioned that you had gone to I think a direct master's program or graduate program. Can you talk a little about that, what that is, and like what that whole journey kind of looks like for you specifically?
So for me, getting into the direct program, I decided to ultimately get a master's in it because I was like, okay, I got two bachelors already. So what is the benefit of another bachelor's? But honestly, it's the same thing. For this, I decided that I'm going to take all my prereqs immediately once I figured out I want to continue on to nursing. And then now into my master's program, it's very rigorous. My course load is similar to high school, where I'm going to school from 8 to 5. I have clinicals, and that is a lot to handle because it is technically like what they say for Western is that your first year is you're getting your bachelor's and your second year is focusing on your master's. So everything is very rigorous and you have to prepare and be ahead and be on top of your schedule. Um, I definitely think when students are looking into their nursing programs, they have to consider all the prerequisites courses. Some colleges you can go directly into nursing, but some are pre-nursing where you have to take prerequisites, the T's, and all these exams and essays. So if you're interested in nursing, be on the lookout at what each colleges have to offer. Some accelerated programs, some bachelor, some associates are all different. So I definitely think be on the lookout and see what you need for patient care experience as well.
Awesome. You mentioned one last question, by the way, for those who are here live, if you want to start dropping questions in the chat for Coach Vivian, go ahead and do that. We'll do Q&A a little bit. So you got two bachelor's degrees. I don't think that's normal, right? I think most students get one bachelor's and they're happy there. I think a lot of high school students think they can do, I'm going to do a double major, triple major, the major minor. Can you talk about what double majoring actually means? And then how hard was it to actually get the double major, the double bachelor's for you?
Okay, my story I would say is a little bit crazy. I doubled majored in public health science and education science, and I had a minor in health informatics. So I was doing it all while taking my prereqs. So I think the first 2 years were the most rigorous course because these are your bio, your chem, and all the course load that you need for your major. And these are really rigorous courses. And these courses also apply to like your doctor. If you want to become a doctor or PA, these are the same courses. But what I did was I stacked on everything. I took all summer courses and even during I believe like my sophomore year, like the summer, I was taking like 28 units, which is very crazy. I don't know why I did it, but I took 14 units at UCI and then I took like the rest, like the other like 14 at community college. So I was taking all my prereqs. And it was just crazy, but I think all in all, it was really worth it because now I get to learn 2 degrees that I was interested in. I'm interested in education. This is what I like to do. I like to educate people and help people um, move up because I didn't have that support. And being in public health, like you learn about the healthcare aspect, so that is great. And taking the minor, my public health and my health informatics class had similar courses, so I only had to take like 5 additional classes. But I definitely think taking these courses, you have to time manage, and I really pushed myself to a point that is, like, not normal. Like, I don't think my UCI even knew that I was taking, like, classes at community college, but I did it for myself because I wanted to do learn as much as possible.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you touched on a few parts. So double majoring is really easy if it's similar majors. Like you talk about the two majors were similar, so you can double dip classes. But some of the majors are it's two other way, education and the public health very different. As a result, you're literally doing the same classes. You dropped the word prerequisite. Can you talk about because I think a lot of students think like I'm this major, I show up to college, I'm that major right away. Can you talk about what prerequisites do and the purpose of prerequisites and how you don't actually start off as that major, you have to like kind of earn your way in to that major.
Yeah, so I know for pre-nursing, you have to take your prerequisites, which are your standard courses like anatomy, physiology. I definitely think there is a website. I think it's called I Get where you can look at all the courses that matches with your majors. And then also during your time in college, you have a degree planner. So every school should have it, and it's like a degree course load where you take specific courses and it tells you what courses you can take if there's like interchangeable courses, if you can take this courses other or that courses. But all these courses you can take either at the community college level as well if you want and do a dual enrollment. That will make you get your units and tuition lowered and all that great stuff. So that's a great advantage that I think high school students should take if they can, if they're able to manage it. But all the prereqs, I would base it by your school, and you can also look at I Get to match from community college to the college that you want to go to as well.
Awesome, perfect. Yeah, I think I guess he's one. Another website is assist.org. You can use that
Oh
guys
yeah.
as well too. Perfect, cool. That's pretty much it. Let's just jump in. We have a few questions from the Q&A from the families who are here live. So first question here. Hi, Vivian. Would like to know what it is the determining factor on picking nursing versus doctor degrees. Do you have to specialize in a specific nursing path?
So the determining factor for me for nursing versus a doctorate's degree is nursing has so many flexibilities. Like you can even go up to a doctorate's level and be able to diagnose patients as well, similar to a doctor. For doctors, they once they get their residency, they usually stick with that specialty, which I didn't really like the idea of that because I'm a very well-rounded person. I like to do a bunch of things. I like to explore and do many things. So I think I ultimately picked nursing. You do not need a specialized path into nursing. And I also ultimately decided to do nursing instead of PA because I can eventually become a CRNA, which is a certified nurse anesthetist, which is still achieving my goal of becoming an anesthesiologist, but in a nurse. So that's why I ultimately picked nursing because there's so many careers and choices that you can do with that. And if I do in the future do like what I like and want to become an anesthesiologist, I can be a nurse anesthetist. So I
Nice.
still have that goal in mind.
Awesome. The other question here was public health policy. What other schools did you apply? I think you kind of answered this, but you want to recap that as well too.
I think for public health policy, or public health, I only applied to UCI for public health, but I did public health sciences instead of policy because the sciences is a BS degree and the policy is a BA degree at UCI. And I ultimately wanted to do a bachelor's of science because it helps with all the prereqs if I either wanted to do nursing, PA, or doctorates.
Awesome. Just to one up that and response as well too. So the B from a employment point of view, the BS versus BA doesn't matter at all. This is from there. However, what Coach Vivian just said is that the requirements. So if you actually look up the requirements for the BS versus the BA, it's different. So BS will have more sciencey classes. The BA will have more artsy classes. Both get the same degree. Both could get you to the same whatever. But because the her Bachelor of Science, the prereqs, you mentioned this earlier, right? The prereq kind of overlaps as well. So you guys just double dipping is kind of the concept there as well. Question from me, because I hear a lot of people think like there's only kind of, can you talk a little about the BSN route, the Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, and why does everyone want to be that and think that's the only option to be a nurse? Because I think that's like every parent's like, oh, my child had to go to college for BSN. That's the only way they can be a nurse. Can you kind of demystify that a little bit
Yeah.
the various pathways potentially. 'Cause this is your pathway. So you went to college, then you get your master's in nursing, right? So if you can talk about the various options, just because to kind of explore as much as we can there.
Yeah, so I like knowing what I know now, I would definitely recommend our high school families take dual enrollment classes for GE classes. And if you can take any prerequisites nursing, like intro to nursing and all of that, you can even do after high school to take an associate's nursing program, which is 2 years, and you get your RN license, which is a great benefit because once you get your RN license, you can start working in the hospital. And once you start working in the hospital, you can have them pay for your BSN license. So you can make money, have lower tuition, and have your hospital pay for your bachelor's while you're like working and all of that. Honestly, I think having a bachelor's in science in nursing does not really compare much different to an associate's or a master's. It's just the level of knowledge, but ultimately, the end goal is to get a registered nurse license. So you can do that in your AD, associates, a bachelor's, or a master's. So that's something that I wish I knew now that I like didn't have before. And even before my master's, I was like, okay, like I didn't even think about applying to associates, which I wish I did. But honestly, it doesn't matter where you go to school for nursing. So, for instance, if you get accepted to a Cal State or like a university or a prestigious college. It depends on you, but at the end of the day, you're still going to be an RN. You're still going to learn all the basic materials. You're still going to need information to pass your NCLEX, which is the minimum standard to become a nurse. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you go to school as long as you pass your NCLEX and you know what you know to save a patient's life and do not kill a patient is all that matters.
Awesome. Fantastic. Last question for you. We have a lot of parents who are joining this call again, watching the replay as well too. Now that you've gone through the process as well too, and everything, and you're one of our coaches who've been working with our families as well. So what's one piece of advice you'd give to high school parents? Doesn't have to be related to nursing, but it could be just any advice you've gone through the journey as a student yourself, with your parents supporting you, and then and also you've been working with a lot of our families as well too. So what one piece of advice would you kind of give them just to kind of help them out with this college admissions journey?
So my advice to parents, I know it's very hard, but don't put so much pressure into your students going to the most prestigious college. It should be what they want to truly do. So for instance, if they want to become a nurse, like they don't have to go to the prestigious. They can just go to one that suits them and their learning style, like the student to teacher ratio. And also, I think it doesn't matter your degree, it matters where you end up. So if you want to become a doctor, you can go to prestigious, it looks better, but some people go to a Cal State too and become a doctor. So I know there's a lot of pressure and understanding that like your students have to go to like a prestigious, but that doesn't matter. It matters about where they truly fit in and succeed the most and learn the most and get all A's, because sometimes people go to prestigious and they don't learn as well because it's too rigorous and too like difficult for them. But while like at a Cal State level, it's appropriate for their learning style and they can learn the most that they can to be the best that they can be in their career and their passion.
Could not have ended it better myself. Thank you so much, Coach Vivian, for joining us on this call. Thank you everyone for coming, attending live, and watching the replay. And I'll see you guys all in the next training.
Bye bye, everyone.